Caleb. Please like and subscribe. All right, welcome back to Crypto Bros,
And a Holly Girl.
episode 79 or 78.
Yeah, 78. So it's okay that you messed that up, Caleb, because we've been on hiatus for about 3 weeks. We had some real life stuff come up. For the most part, nothing super serious, but I've been in the process of selling my house. Caleb is a grandpa. Also, he tried to cut his fingers off. You want to show the people your scars?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so how many stitches was that, Caleb?
18.
18 stitches. We won't get into how he did that, but it would have killed the lesser man, I'm sure.
Positive.
Holly's had some vet experiences and almost a World Series experience.
Yes.
Which we may get into those World Series stories at a different time because we had some things planned for this week. And we were going to come back and do some things a little different and be a little bit more lighthearted. And then some news broke yesterday, which shook everyone a little bit, I think. So we're going to change the format of our podcast today. And we're going to just start with some Safemoon news. And that's going to be a lot of what we talk about today, the indictments and things like that. And we're not going to do the good, the bad, the ugly today because it seems pointless. We are going to have holativity, and we are going to end this on a lighthearted note with Caleb's choice. But Greg is not here this week. He's actually at the lake, which more power to him, but it's like 40 degrees outside of Missouri. So
it's a little chilly, but
yeah, I don't really know what he's doing there, but to each his own.
He's probably getting crazy and jumping in the lake to see if he can survive.
Maybe.
I mean, when I was
hope
young,
he's not that dumb.
I have been that dumb. I have
the
done
polar bear plunge.
in the middle of the winter, we had I grew up in Flagstaff, so we used to ditch school and go to the creek. And so it's in Sedona, and I mean anybody who's gone to Sedona, they know about the creek. And so I mean when you ditched school, we went to the creek regardless what time it was, like what time of the year it was.
Was there alcohol involved in this?
No, actually. Surprisingly, no.
All right.
Is that creek?
It was just something to do, and we would, at the creek, you can jump off cliffs into the water. Well, we decided to do it in winter, and I thought I was going to die. Mm-hmm. I froze. Like, as soon as I hit that water, I froze up like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of here. And luckily, I made it out, but that was the worst experience, and it hurt. It hurt so bad when you hit that cold. Holy crap. So... yeah.
I'm with you. So I was one of the idiots that did the cold water plunge, and I did it when it was, I don't know, it was a spring-fed pond anyways, which is about 30 foot deep, and I just jumped off the dock. It was probably 40 degrees outside, and as soon as I hit the water, I couldn't swim. I couldn't move. No. And so I was able to kick my feet a little bit to get back to the top, and I had a buddy there, and he kind of looks at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, can't breathe. Like I couldn't even breathe. And then finally I started to dog paddle because I realized if I just stayed there, I was going to die. And I couldn't pull up on the dock though. I actually had to swim to the beach or to the shore because my muscles weren't working right. It was crazy.
It's the worst feeling in the whole world. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally get it. So if he hasn't done it, maybe that's what he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah, in Branson, there's a Table Rock Lake, and then under the dam is Lake Tinicomo, and that water is always cold. And I used to jump in that in the summertime. I think it's like 50 degrees or 60 degrees, or
it's cold. Is too cold,
especially when it's like 102 outside.
So let's get to the news of the day. Okay. Part of me really, really wants to have this conversation, and I'll be honest with you, part of me really doesn't want to have this conversation. But I do think it's important. It wasn't what we had planned up to this moment. And so we've kind of been, like I would guess most people are, in scramble mode, trying to do as much research as we can, try to get, I don't want to say as many opinions as we can because I'm not really looking for that. I'm trying to find more facts. And I think that's where we all are. And I think in doing so, when we have this conversation, we're going to realize that we don't necessarily all three agree with each other in this. I am certain, though, because I know your guys' hearts, that we can have a discussion where we don't agree 100% and we can still be friends. So hopefully maybe other people can do the same thing, because I've seen a lot of bashing from people. It is a great time for people to jump on other people and go, I told you so, or I'm glad you lost your money and this and that. And that's not what this podcast is going to be about. Okay. Excuse me. I also had a really bad case of the hiccups before we got on here today, so I hope that doesn't come back. But let's just start with facts, okay? And then we'll get into the conversation of what actually happened and what we're thinking and along those lines. So yesterday, three people, founders, Kyle Nagy, CEO John Karony, and the chief technology officer, Thomas Smith, were all arrested. They each had 3 counts brought against them by the SEC. They were conspiring to commit securities fraud. Count 2 was wire fraud, and count 3 was money laundering. So I'm sorry to keep looking down. I just want to make sure I don't misspeak on that, because I want to make sure that we keep the facts as best as we possibly can too.
Yeah.
So I just put a tweet out there because it was the best way that I could simplify my thought at the process. And it was just said that it was a retweet of the charges and just said, this is not what we wanted to see today or any day. And that's about all I really wanted to put out there, because I didn't want to fuel the fire. My opinion doesn't matter any more than anybody else's. I firmly believe that. But I know that there are some people that do watch this, and it's not necessarily always for information. It may be for entertainment or whatever that may look like. But let's just be honest. From day one, from we've been doing this podcast for about 1.5 years now, and Safemoon has been one of the cryptocurrencies that we have been tracking. I would even go as far to say as that we support them, that we have been fans of them. Let's get this out in the open right now. We do not make money from Safemoon. We have never been paid by Safemoon. We do not get insider information from Safemoon. I've seen some of those allegations flying around too, so I just want to put that out there in a calm, cool, collected manner, that none of that is true. But it is no secret that this is one of the projects that we hold and we actually hold dearly. And so when this happened, I'll just be honest with you guys. My first thought, I was angry, because for me, it is one thing to invest your money into whatever it is and it fail, right? That's an option that can happen in anything that you invest in. Not even talking just about cryptocurrencies, but to invest your money in something and it fail, because now we have to remember people are innocent until proven guilty. Okay. But for it to fail, or to see the 50% drops daily because of alleged fraud, and these conspiracies and money laundering, that makes me angry. It makes me angry anytime hardworking individuals put their hard-earned money into something and then it wrongly failed. Let's just put it that way. And so that's where I was at. Well, where were you guys at when this first broke? What were you thinking?
Disappointed.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's one of the newer ones. You know, it's been marketed well, so a lot of people have heard of it. Now a lot of people are I think it's gonna hurt crypto for a while for people to invest new money. So I was disappointed that way.
Okay.
I think the word that best describes it for me was shook. I was very shook yesterday. Especially right when I saw it. I was just like, no way. No way. But it's so weird. And it might be because, I mean, you guys know I have been part of Safemoon since damn near beginning. I think it was not even 3 weeks old when I got in. And I have been a hardcore supporter for Safemoon since. And I mean, I can't say that I'm not anymore because there's so much more than John Karony. Kyle and Thomas are no longer part of that. These charges and allegations are from the beginning, from back in 2021. This is when all the allegations supposedly happened. And so for me, it just really was like a punch in the stomach because I do feel like Safemoon was actually heading in the right direction with things, and this just derailed it. I mean, but I'm also, I am also and wholeheartedly a firm believer in innocent until proven guilty. But if he is proven guilty, he deserves everything that's going to happen or already has happened. But the people who work there at Safemoon, the employees that are still there, the investors, I don't give two shits about myself in this situation. Mm-hmm. I care about everybody else that this is affecting. It's heartbreaking because we don't know what's going to happen. To be honest, I'm surprised they haven't halted trading already.
Agreed.
So to see, and to be honest, I'm not sure they're going to, because I'm thinking about like other cryptos that happened similar. No, I'm not similar. But like, XRP, when they were going through the lawsuit, granted, this is different. And so I want to...
we'll talk about that in just a second. Yeah.
But they never halted trading. There's some exchanges who no longer did.
Which is the same with Safemoon.
Right.
Yeah.
So trading as a whole was never halted.
Not that I'm aware of.
Exactly. And like, I bought it when they were like going through the lawsuit, when they hit all-time high. I was buying it through KuCoin. So they may not. And by the looks of the chart, there are people who are day trading this now, because you have to remember Safemoon is only 2%. So, I mean, if you bought in yesterday when it was, or this morning when it was down to 0.0000, because we added a 0, 4.2, it went back up. And if you were paying attention, you could have made money on it. And I'm by no means saying go ahead and do this. I just have had a similar experience watching the chart with Luna. Remember Luna?
Yep.
This happened. Yep. I played those charts when, people got wrecked, and I'm sorry, but I didn't know anything about it until it all was blown up over Twitter, and I started day trading that, and I made a good amount of money from doing that.
Let's pause right there real quick, though, because I think it's important to let people know that is a dangerous game.
Very.
There is money to be made there, but you really, really need to know what you're doing. And I, for one, this is me, I would not recommend that to anyone. Okay.
I wouldn't.
And I'm just putting that out there, but go ahead. I just don't want it to be, and I'm not saying this is what you were doing, Holly. I just don't want it to sound glorified, like, hey, even though things are happening, you can make money, because you really have to be on top of it if you're going to make money doing that. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. And I don't mean to make it sound like it's glorified. At that time, I called myself a degenerate, and a lot of us were doing it, and I had the money to do it.
I just don't want people to take the wrong way is all I'm saying. I'm not saying you just did anything wrong whatsoever. I just to make sure, because a lot of people are hurting right now. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
They really are. I feel for every single person out there that has lost. I can't tell you guys how many DMs. I've talked to so many people in the last 2 days, just so worried. Like, what do I do, Holly? And my only answer to them is trust your instincts. Do what's best for you. Do not let anybody tell you to buy, sell, or hold. Don't, because you're going to get wrecked. That is how people, when you start listening to, people on the internet, I'm not even going to say to influencers, I'm saying people on the internet, is when you start to get yourself in trouble. And
Yeah.
then you have to also remember, if you choose to do this and to, keep buying or selling or trading, whatever you're doing, you need to take accountability for yourself on this, because there is a big potential that
Well,
you
and
may not.
that goes for anything that you're doing, but especially in a
Yeah.
time like this with a project like this when it's going
Yeah.
through all that. So I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's important to me because we can all agree that we actually do really care about the people out there, and we actually care more about the people than making a bunch of money. We talked
Yeah.
about this off camera. One of the most disappointing things to me is all the people that I talked to that ended up buying, say, $100 worth of Safemoon. I'm not going to get into how many dollars I had invested in it, and it's basically worth nothing now. But I feel worse about the people that lost 100 or 200. I've seen stories from people that have lost money that they over leveraged and they spent too much money. And yes, that is on them, okay? But at the same time, when it goes down with the allegations that are being thrown around, that still just irks me. And like you said, it's kind of a gut punch, you know? So, yeah, here's another thing too. So we want to be factual with this, and we want to kind of give our opinions on this for anybody that might care. And if you don't, that's fine too. But we've been in this game for a long time, and we've seen a lot of good people get wrecked on other projects. We've seen people that we thought we were good actually kind of tank projects. We've seen about every scenario you can actually think of. And so, although I don't want to get into a bunch of speculation on is this person guilty, is that person guilty, sometimes hindsight being 2020, certain things in my brain make a little bit more sense than they used to. You know, some of the weird buys and things like that we saw coming through. All I would say in that is, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. That is a lesson that I've learned over my almost 50 years on this planet. And I guess now that I look back on it, maybe there's been a little bit more smoke for longer than I actually realized there was smoke. Doesn't mean that I know anything more than anybody else. I'm just kind of trying to tell you what my gut says. At the same time, when we're talking about a project like this, I guess what it comes to is what's happened has happened, right? And I'm not letting anybody off the hook. Listen, I'm with you when you said, Holly, that if all these three people are guilty, that they should serve, or they should have to take the punishment, whatever that is. We don't get to decide that. The public court of opinion doesn't get to decide that. But let's talk about the people that still have money invested in it, because those are the ones that we care about the most.
Yeah.
Where does Safemoon go from here? Like, how does this rebound? Because I know some people are banking on that, right? And some people have cut their losses, and that's fine too. And, you know, if you want to be a diamond hand in this time, that's cool. If you need that money, that's cool. I'll be honest with everybody. I actually tried to sell some of my bag yesterday just to see what that experience would be like and see how crazy the slippage was and see how things went down so that we could talk more intelligently about it today.
Yeah.
And I was unable to sell any of it. I could not find one swap that would allow me to make a transaction. So
Did you try doing it from your computer or your phone?
Both.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Because more people were successful in trading on their computer than they were on their phone.
Which sometimes has been the case for me with other things that I've done. That's why I did both. I tried the phone first, just so everybody knows, and then I went to the computer, and I couldn't make either one of them work. So just being honest about that. So that's where I was at on that. But I have my opinions, but I don't want this to just be, you know, I throw it out there trying to convince you guys of stuff. Holly, I'll just ask you directly, where do you think this goes from here? And then maybe what is your hope of where it goes from here? And is either one of those realistic? Does that make sense? Because there's a lot of emotions flying around right now, obviously.
So the thing is, for me, when it comes to the legalities of things, I'm a little murky on what's allowed and what's not.
Okay.
What I would like to see And this is not going to be favored by many. Sorry. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry. This is my opinion.
Yep.
Which you're
I think,
entitled to.
yes, I am.
Shocker.
Whoa.
I believe John needs to step down. I think that they need to get somebody different in there. I don't know who. That's the biggest question of the day.
I have an idea, but we'll get into that later.
Okay. But I do think it needs to be somebody who is well versed in the business world, knows how to manage a team, doesn't have a crazy ego. But I do truly believe that at this time, it would be in his best interest to turn over the keys and assign somebody else as CEO. But that's where I said, the legalities of things are murky for me. I don't know if that's even allowed now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
But if it is allowed, I think that would be the proper way to go. And then it's crazy because people like are acting like John is Safemoon. John was more of the visionary. This is what John comes up with, and he goes to a team of people and says, "This is what I want. I need you to get it done." And other people build these things. Now, I know for sure the blockchain is damn near close. It was. The exchange is close in the EU. And then they have, they're still making the wallet updates and stuff. So there's people behind that are still working. And as Safemoon page on Twitter said, they're still building. They're still there. They're still building. And they can't really give any more information because they have no more information than we do. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does any of that matter anymore? Does the
Yeah.
the continuing building of the blockchain, all the updates, does that matter anymore?
I think it does.
Okay. That's just a question.
I honestly, I don't see, and I mean it when I say the Safemoon army is strong, I mean it. And if you look at the chart, you could kind of tell. I think that I don't think Safemoon, if they don't get shut down from the government and all that, I think that Safemoon could make a comeback. I do not believe that it would be a very good comeback unless John steps down.
I don't think it'll be quick,
Makes sense.
regardless.
No, it's gonna be a while.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as you know, I don't know about you guys, but I know me and tons of other people were very aware this is a long-term hold. So now
Well,
it just get a little better.
I agree with you 100% being a long-term hold. It's something that we've always talked about it being a long-term hold. This is not a, buy 1 week, sell the next week, play the ups and downs. Even really when the reflections and the tax is lower, it's still not really that token. But for anybody that was okay with it being a long-term hold, like it's going to be longer now. No matter what solution they come out with, reputation is damaged at this point. For not just John and not just Kyle and not just Thomas, but for the Safemoon brand, the reputation is damaged. It will take some time to fix that.
Yeah. I honestly, again, my opinion, I disagree.
Okay.
I think that a lot of the bad rap that Safemoon is getting is caused by the CEO and the allegations. Because in all honesty, of the 2.5 years that I've been around, the majority of the FUD against Safemoon has been because of John. That is the truth.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Not
Okay,
all, but the majority.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think, the FUD has been around?
No, I think whether it's direct actions or indirect actions of what he has done from time to time, fair, unfair, my opinion is he's an easy target. Okay. Some people make themselves easier targets than other people just by their actions, just by what they do. But this may be a great time to say this. Maybe it's not. I apologize. And this really isn't, for anybody watching this is not scripted, okay? We're just coming from our hearts and just trying to be transparent here. John is a man, okay?
Yes.
You know, we live in a world where we like to worship, and I don't just mean men, but mankind, okay? And that has been a thing for a while with John. And that's one of the things I've never met John. I've never talked to John. Okay. So I don't, this isn't from personal experience, but I've never understood why as part of mankind, why we take certain people and put them on pedestals. I'm a huge sports guy, right? And I live in Kansas City, and most people would agree that Patrick Mahomes is like one of the best quarterbacks of all time, right? And I'm a Chiefs fan. But if the dude walked in to where I was eating dinner, I would treat him the same way I would treat either one of you, and be like, "Hey man, how's it going? You know,
yeah,
that's cool." But I've seen time and time again in John we trust, which for whatever reason, that just makes me cringe.
Me too. Me too.
Because no one knows John's heart all the way besides John. Okay, let's just be honest. People are really, really good at hiding things or manipulating things. Not saying that he is doing that, but how many times in life have we been burned by people that we thought we could trust? Okay, and that we actually knew, that we actually had interacted with. Okay, I mean, I've got a marriage that I can chalk up to that exact same thing, right? Like I knew that person, and it ended horribly.
Me too.
Yeah, Caleb too. You know, so let's as a community stop putting people up on pedestals. First of all, the Safemoon Army is strong, right? And I've made a lot of friends in the Safemoon Army, and I care for a lot of those people in the Safemoon Army. And that was actually my second thought after anger when I found out was, how is this going to affect them? You know, and I won't name names, but there was about 3 people in particular that I actually was generally worried about, just because I care about them and I don't want them to be hurt no matter what. And maybe at some level I knew how much this project and what they do for the project and things like that, how much it means to them, how much of themselves they put into it. And that was my second thought in that. But back to John, okay, I don't mean to rattle on, but I do care generally about people, and I don't like to see people get wrecked. And whether you will admit it or not, and I'm not talking to you two when I say that, I mean in general, people got wrecked. Let's not lie about that, right? I know I can tell by my own portfolio that it hasn't wrecked me, okay? And we'll talk about being diversified a little bit later, but it has wrecked people, and I hate that. So first off, back to my point. Sorry to ramble. John has made it easy to be a target for FUD. I think. I'll throw something out there that I think a lot of people enjoy and a lot of people like that makes me cringe when I see it. That would be Futter's Tears water bottles and stickers. I know you have one, right? Mm-hmm. But the first time I saw it,
the stickers drive me crazy.
Okay, but see, I feel the same way about that. If you want to promote merch, I'm good about that. But as soon as we start talking about Futter's Tears, which as of today doesn't seem like they may be too far off on a lot of their accusations over the last few years. Not saying they're right. Anyways, I'm going to stop correcting myself because I think people know me by now that they know that where I'm coming from, okay? But that sort of stuff is cringe to me. Like, we got a lot more important things than to act like we're in junior high selling merch of stickers and Futter's Tears bottles. If you think that stuff's cool, that's fine. I personally just don't want a CEO that pushes that kind of stuff. If that's like a side deal, that's fine. But when we've been sitting around for months and months and months and without really, I know there are certain things that are on the horizon, but we really haven't launched anything, okay? And, You can talk about orbital shield. You can talk about the wallet. That's a conversation for another day, okay, in my opinion. We'll talk about those things more in depth later. But that's an easy target. You want to start talking about Futter's tiers. You want to start talking about your houses you buy, your cars you buy, all these little different things, why the prices continually go down. Easy target. Now,
Yeah.
was it intentional? Is he a jerk? I have no idea. I don't know the guy. Okay? I don't know. But I will tell you that I will not necessarily, I put stock in people. Okay, we all put trust in people whether we want to admit it or not, right? We put trust in the driver that's in the car next to us that they're not just going to swerve over and knock us off the road. But at the same time, I don't put anybody up on a pedestal because we can all fall. You know, the bigger we are, the harder we fall type thing. If you're asking me what John should do in the longest possible answer apparently that I can come up with, I don't think there's any doubt that he needs to resign. If he's proven innocent in all this, there's nothing that says he can't come back.
Yeah, you're still founder.
But if you want to see this build and continue to, I mean, how much is anybody going to celebrate the blockchain if it comes out in December with what we know today, 30 days later? You guys going to be all super happy and stoked about it?
I don't know. This is just such a pill to swallow as a whole. And so I'm having a really hard time being excited about these things.
Exactly. Otherwise, if we didn't have this news in 30 days, we'd be throwing a party, right? Like, yeah, we knew it. It's coming. It's here.
What I was just going to say, like, if this didn't happen, it would be huge because it's finally we told you this was coming out, right? Like, and now it's like, well, shit, it's coming out. But what's going to happen now?
It doesn't matter.
I've always been the one to say that just because you have a blockchain or an exchange doesn't mean it's going to increase the price of your token by any means. You've got to have the users behind that to increase the volume, which is going to contribute, so on and so forth. And so, I mean, look at Shibarium. They have theirs, right? Cheap. And how much has that really gone up since they released it? Nothing, really. Not, I mean, maybe a couple percent, but that's about it. So I think for me, it wasn't about, oh yes, we got a blockchain. It was more about, thank you, we are finally delivering. And now it's like, well, shit, you're delivering, and now what? Like, there's still this huge, you guys, I don't want anybody to think that these allegations aren't as big as they are. These are huge. Wire fraud, money laundering, these are huge allegations. They're scary.
Well, you're talking about the SEC, so the conspiring to commit securities fraud is not an awesome charge either.
No, like, you have two battles to fight, one on your own and one for your company. And it's going to it's a long, drawn-out process. How long did the SEC go after XRP just on their shit?
3 years.
Okay, and then you have that on top of 3 federal charges that you're going to have to try to get out of too.
So let's jump on that real fast, Holly, because I think that's a good segue to that. So people keep comparing what's happening with Safemoon to XRP. We can all agree on the fact that this is not anything near the same thing. It is, you can't compare this. This is apples and oranges. We have to remember that basically the XRP was sued. So to find out basically if it was a security or not.
Yeah.
That's it. There were no criminal charges brought up against XRP. This was a lawsuit, which you will find sometimes in this market and other financial markets, that sometimes this happens just so a ruling can be made, just so we know what we're doing moving forward. That's why the XRP was such a big deal, because it really impacted other crypto assets. This isn't that. You know, I've seen people come out and say, well, you know, the SEC only picks on the big time guys. So, you know, look at XRP. They won and they're going to be stronger than ever. This is not the same thing. This is criminal charges being brought up against 3 individuals that had the keys to the ship that, I mean, they're the captains. They're the big dogs behind it at the time.
But however, isn't one of the charges similar to the XRP charge? Well, against Safemoon, the LLC, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
But no, and then there's separate charges against individuals.
So we're talking about the individual charges. Yeah.
The individual are completely, but the XRP and the charge against Safemoon LLC are relatively the same.
Yeah, well, because a lot of it is not. A lot of it has to do with whether or not they were registered as a security and different things like that. So, and I won't speak much more on that because there's so much information out there, and I actually read the indictment a couple times, and really kind of wish I had another day before we recorded this because of how much information I've been going through, and real life's still crazy. So, I only have so many hours to devote to it. But so let's talk about that then. So what should they do now? I mean, not that anybody's going to listen to us, but I agree with what you said. I do think even if it's a short-term thing, John should step down. They don't necessarily have to name his replacement right away, but if I was them, I would also probably, I think, delay some of these releases that they're getting ready to come up with until they had better leadership. Here's the thing. I've never seen, I can't say never, okay, but it is very, very rare that you see a crypto project have the downturns and percent drops on a daily basis that we've had in the last couple of days to ever really right the ship. I've yet to really see that happen. Now, if any one of them can, I personally believe that's Safemoon. Okay, I do think that if somebody could right a ship in a situation that it's in, Safemoon is that project. With that being said, it's got to come from another CEO. That's my opinion. Pie in the sky idea is you need somebody that people trust. You need someone that people can get behind. You need somebody with a track record. My pie in the sky idea, which is completely unrealistic, and I am not predicting this, not for financial advice. But you want to turn this thing around in a heartbeat, you appoint Elon Musk as your CEO.
Oh, hell.
You let him use this on his X platform and all that sort of stuff. But in all seriousness, though, I do think it's maybe not Elon Musk level, okay, because there's not too many people at that level. It is going to take somebody in that upper tier to turn this thing around, even in a reasonable amount of time, because this is going to take a while, folks. And we talked about selling, too. And I just want to say this. So everybody does whatever they want. I'll just tell you right now what my play is. I'm at the point now, why not hold? It would be dumb for me to sell at this point. This is not money that I'm missing. This is not, I was not over leveraged when I did it. It would be dumb for me to sell, cross my fingers, hope this thing rectifies in 4 to 5 years. That thing, is better than it ever was. And there's products rolling out and things like that. That's where I'm at. I've had some people DM me and I said, this is where I'm at, and I'm just going to throw it out there. That's my strategy moving forward. That's where I'm at. Take it or leave it. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm right there with you. There's no point in selling. I mean, I kind of, to be perfectly honest, like the Safemoon that I have in my wallets, I had no intentions of selling it. I kind of washed it out as this is not, this isn't money I need. If I happen to need it, then I'll sell it, but I haven't needed it, so I haven't sold it. Right now, it's just not even worth it with the volatility of things going on. Yeah. And I mean, nobody knows. I'm at the point where I don't want to touch my damn wallets at all. Yeah. Like for any reason, not just Safemoon. I'm just like, this whole thing has really made me lose a little faith in the crypto world, at least in the DeFi world. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure I trust any of these projects anymore. And I prefer, for me personally, if I'm going to start, aping into stuff, it's going to be the blue chips. I am a firm believer XRP is going to do its thing. I still am trying to get as much as I can every week. I put some money in there and try to build my bag that way. But I'm scared of DeFi because as much as you want to believe in somebody, they have the track record has shown that nobody is trustworthy in
The
this
track
space.
record has been crap. Let's just be honest. Over the last 2 years,
Real
it's just
bad.
like they're falling off the wayside. And
Yeah.
and I'm with you too, Holly. We talked off camera earlier this morning about being diversified, and we've always kind of talked that, and I don't want to say preach that, but that's just kind of been our motto. And actually, even with being crushed by Safemoon, my wallet's actually in better shape right now than it was even 3 weeks ago. And
Okay.
one of the things that you talked about buying XRP, one of the things that I actually started today is weekly, I'm going to be buying Bitcoin. And I'm going to be more in the blue chip area too. Not that
Yeah.
I won't buy others if I find projects that I think I can get behind. Um, but I'm probably going to be a little bit more diligent in my research too. And maybe not try to be the first person to buy things. And that's okay too. If it's a good project, everyone's still going to make money.
And that's what you said it right there is you want to be more diligent in your research. And I can say that I have been in projects that
Mm-hmm.
I've put a lot of trust in, Safemoon being one of them. I knew these allegations for a long time. Because again, this all happened. All these allegations are from the 2021 V1
Right.
era.
Mhm.
Um, and so the more research I do on Safemoon now, the more it's like, oh, this is great, right? It's the people behind it. So how do you research the people? Because you don't know. Like
Yeah.
you know how many people are just obviously are one way and then you've come to find out they're a total different person that you have no idea who they are. And so that's where I say, like, it's a very slippery slope and dangerous space to be in because I don't know who I can trust anymore and what companies to trust anymore to even put my money in there.
Well, I think part of the way that we can shield ourselves is have more of a wait and see attitude, maybe.
Yeah.
I know there were some projects that I jumped into because I just bought the hype and maybe my investment strategy at those time was a little bit reckless because we had just come out of a bull market and everybody was making money and it was what it was, it was up, whatever. But I think too, for me, there have been some projects that I've decided to get into that I wanted to believe the people were good people, but something in my gut told me, and I did it anyways. And I'm
Yep.
refused to do that anymore. If there's something there that just doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And those are the ones that I'm going to stay away from. Listen, I still think there are some great projects out there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've talked to some great people on this podcast, and I'm still rooting for those people. It's just that I feel like SafeMoon, with this happening with SafeMoon, it hurts a little bit more than it would with something else. Because a lot of people got started with Doge, and their very next thing was SafeMoon.
Yep.
I mean, how many stories have we heard about that over the last year and a half? That's basically all of our stories. And
Right.
so it hurts a little bit more. And I'll be honest with you, there were probably some things that either not inside stuff, things everyone saw that I probably ignored that I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into all the details of it because a lot of it was just on Twitter. And I'm like, man, that doesn't seem right. And now I've seen like 4 or 5 people say that yeah, it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. And I don't think I'm going to be that guy anymore. I think I'm going to be more in touch with, you know what? That's like the third time I've heard that. And maybe I don't want to be in this. Because
Yeah.
so
You think
far,
they knew it was coming?
SafeMoon,
No, yeah, like John and the three that were arrested.
At some level, yes, because
They give them a
they,
heads up of some sort.
well, they probably got a warrant served that they would have to be at a certain location at a certain time so that they could arrest them. They didn't just
Yeah.
accidentally run into John in Utah and make the arrest, and run into Papa in New Jersey and make the arrest. That's set up.
New Hampshire. Why
Oh,
do I feel like
is it New Hampshire? Maybe it's Bethlehem. That's all I can remember. I can't remember the state, but it's Bethlehem something.
It was New Hampshire because I was like, what the hell is he doing in New Hampshire?
Maybe
Is
it
that where
was.
like I had no I'm going to look it up now because now I really don't.
I just remember, I think it was called Bethlehem, and that's what stuck in my brain, and I forgot the state. But no, normally in those sort of deals, if people aren't considered a flight, it is New Hampshire.
There's a Bethlehem, New Jersey as well, and a Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I'm almost positive, you guys, it was New Hampshire because
it may be.
I did think like I didn't know he lived in New Hampshire. That was my first thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I do think that there's, if you're not considered a flight risk by people like this, a lot of times they're just saying, hey, you need to be at this place at this time, and we're going to be there to pick you up. And, or turn yourself in, or whatever it may look like. But
Agreed.
not
Do you think that's
everything
a
like
few
this
days,
is.
or
Say that again.
you think that's like a few days or like a month, or how much time do you think they had?
Oh, I don't think they give them a lot of notice. I don't know for sure. I would say not more than 2 or 3 days.
There's a reason like John was flying from Miami to Utah
Yeah.
the night before he got arrested.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for anybody to say like he didn't know,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. He absolutely did know.
Well,
He
things
absolutely
get overblown based on what we see on TV and in movies and things like that. Most of these things that go down this way are not SWAT teams knocking in your front door by
Yeah.
surprise. That's not how most of this stuff goes down, especially when you're not talking about violent criminals,
Yeah. So here's a question. Like, at what point do they set a bail if they do set a bail?
I believe
Like,
they
if
have 36 hours to do that, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, so most likely
Maybe
they
72. It's something like that, though.
it's either 36 or 48.
Oh, maybe
I
that's,
don't
yeah, it's not like weeks.
Yeah,
So,
but we do know the court system isn't open on Saturday or Sunday.
oh,
So
yeah.
I come Monday is when he'll have his first, what is it, arraignment where you plead guilty or not guilty, right?
It'll be Monday or will it be tomorrow?
Federally, like, or criminally. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know this whole process.
Sure,
So
Holly.
well, I mean, you guys,
Like you've never been arrested?
I have been arrested before, and I had to spend a night in jail when I was 18.
I know
It was
you told us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at that point, I know you go up in front of a judge, and they, in my case, they let me off on my own recognizance or something like that.
Oh, you got it. I can't pronounce that word.
But in this case, it's kind of hardcore charges.
Oh, yeah.
People already saying, oh, they set bail at 35 million. Another person said 3.5 million. And then another person said he's a flight risk. So they're asking for no bail to be set. However,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to set it for, but I don't think that they're going to think that John's a flight risk and not post a bail or assign a bail number.
Yeah.
Because if they did for Sam Friedman from FTX,
Yeah, that dude's a way bigger flight risk than John is.
his was $250 million bail.
Yeah. Well, he's also charged with how many billions of dollars in,
Exactly. So I just can't foresee them assigning saying, okay, this is your bail FTX, but John Karony's a flight risk for $200 million.
Well, and not
Like-
only that, Holly, but we're not going to hear anything out of John as long as this is going on.
He can't.
No. So, I mean, if people are expecting him to bail out of jail and then have an AMA, that's not going to happen.
And they absolutely are.
I know.
Or a statement or something from John. And to be honest, he is dumb if he even tries. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you you need to keep your mouth shut, stay under the radar as much as you can, get with your lawyers and do what you got to do.
You won't be
Do
on
not,
Discord. You won't be on Twitter. You won't be doing any of that stuff.
I would,
Yeah.
if I hear or see, I will be in shock. And I mean, yeah, that's crazy to me because nobody on the internet is going to be able to help you. You've got to help yourself and you've got to get straight because this is not something you want to mess around with.
No.
At all. I would be scared out of my mind, you guys. Like,
agreed. So
regardless, even if I knew I was completely innocent, right? I would be scared out of my mind.
I have an irrational fear of jail anyways. It's like, I don't know what it is, but I've never really been in trouble in my entire life, but I don't want to spend the night in jail. And I just surely don't want to be in a federal prison.
One blanket and it's cold.
I ain't really worried about that kind of stuff.
Like it's not something I ever wish upon anybody unless you did something that you deserve to be in there for.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So to wrap this conversation up just a little bit, though, I just had one more thought. See what you guys think. What just happened? Oh.
Won't leave me. I swear I showered today. I know it's not that I smell.
Good thing that's not smell-o-vision. No. So with this whole thing, let's be upfront. We all agree we want the best outcome for all of this, right? I don't know that any one person is going to agree with any other one person what that best outcome looks like. But this would be a great time for the Safemoon Army, I know it still exists, to actually band together and just be there for one another. Because we don't know what the other person is going through. We don't know what kind of financial losses each other has taken. You know, you may know one or two people, like, you know, the three of us are very open with each other off camera, but I'm not going to share that with everybody else, you know. And so you don't know what somebody's going through. So this would be actually a great time to actually show support for one another. And we may get into that just a little bit on Holativity too, because I really like the person's tweet that we're highlighting this week. So, but with that being said, it's going to get ugly, I guess is what I'm saying. So get prepared for it. It's going to be ugly on X. It's going to be ugly in the charts. It's going to be ugly with all the reports coming out. It's going to be ugly with all the people that want to have the breaking news, whether it's accurate or not. The whole thing is just going to be ugly. And I just buckle up, because if you want to take a break from X, this might be the time to do it. And we will try to keep you up to date on as many things as we see. And I don't know, the tone of this whole podcast to me is a little bit, and I think it's because none of this stuff was planned. Like, we had other ideas of what our first podcast back from taking 3 weeks off would look like, and it wasn't this. So, you know, it just kind of get our thoughts out there a little bit. And I kind of really feel like we'll probably regroup this week and may be able to put some things into better thoughts, verbal thoughts. And then also, hopefully we'll have a little bit more facts by next week. But I don't think we're going to have a lot. I think it'll be a long, drawn-out process before we get a lot of information. So hang on, folks.
Yep. Hang on.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get a little bit more lighthearted? Because we have been at this for almost an hour.
All right, so on today's Holativity, I'm actually highlighting myself.
Yay, Holly!
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it came to me this morning, and I truly feel this way. And I said, Happy Thursday, because it is Thursday, even though you won't see it till tomorrow.
Right.
Those who pray for your downfall are concentrating negative thoughts towards you without taking into account the slippery ground they are standing on. This could lead to their own downfall. Be careful, karma is real and will catch up with you. And then, of course, be the reason someone smiles today. And as always, be kind. That is my signature sign off. I have said that for who knows how long. But
On your
to,
wall.
huh? And it is on my wall. And my
Yeah.
it's my license plate. Um, but going back to the reason I tweeted this is I saw so many people praising the fact that so many people have gotten hurt over this Safemoon thing. And I'm not going to call out anybody specifically because it's just
Not
there's
worth
no
it.
but I just feel like those people need to remember that karma is real, and just because it hasn't happened to you right now does not mean it can't happen to you and a project down the road. And so the people, just cheering on the fact that, John is in jail and he got arrested and all this, the SEC's charging Safemoon. You're wishing everything to fail, and I just don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. We've gone over many times about these people. I don't even want to call them fudders. They're just people who are they have a lot of anger within them and a lot of hate in their heart for whatever reason. And I just, I feel like people need to be reminded that just ignore these people. They're really preying on you to see you fail. And those are the people you want to prove wrong. And you can, regardless whatever happens to Safemoon. This is in life in general.
Mm-hmm.
And this one today just hit way too close to home. And so I felt the need for a lot of people who do follow me that are feeling really down. I just want them to remember that, these people are who they are, and they'll get theirs when it's their time. And it always comes back around. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, when you run in that circle of negativity, it always will come back around because that just turns out to be what your life is. And that's sad on its own point. But also, let's not disregard how we treat each other when things are going good, too. Because sometimes that brings back even more negative comments to yourself based on how you were acting when, say, the charts were way in your favor and other people still didn't believe it. We all work extremely hard for what we have. Everyone does, and we all do it in different ways. We all have different skills, but still, at the end of the day, every single one of us that is invested in anything has taken money out of our wallet and put it into something.
Yep.
Let's have respect for those people that just got crushed, whether it's in that. Because if you're in this game long enough, I'll just about guarantee you're going to lose something. Because there's been too many things just explode, and where there's a lot of money, there's also a lot of evil intent too. And you got to watch out for that. So just be kind to each other. Like you said, Holly, it's, I get really upset when people call you out and try to make it sound like that you're fake because that's just a gimmick or whatever, and it's not. That's who you are, and that's what we try to strive to be. But you have a way better way of putting it into words, and you smile a lot better than we do. So I just ask, be nice to my friend, please. That's all I'm gonna say. So
no threats.
No threats. I'm not that guy. I feel like those people will get theirs in the end. Let's just treat each other with some respect. If nothing else, you don't have to like one another. Just treat each other with respect. And that's it. But Holly, thanks for always bringing that to the forefront. I think one of the things I've missed the most about not doing the podcast the last 3 weeks is, one, not getting to hang out with you guys, but also the tweets that you highlight. That I really enjoy that because I, for one, get into this routine and then it gets sped up because I don't have enough time to do everything I need to do, and I miss the good stuff and I only see the negative stuff. So I do appreciate that for sure.
It's time for Caleb's choice.
His choice,
his rules.
All right. Today is it's about the halfway point in the NFL season, so they're all football questions.
All right, let's do it.
And before we ask the questions, how are your guys' teams doing this year?
Terrible.
as you expected, or no, or
Are you talking about professional
Rams or
teams or fantasy football teams?
professional? I know your fancies
So
actually feel pretty good, isn't it?
yeah, so let me say something, Holly, real fast. So I decided to talk some smack on Sunday and go, "Hey, Holly, are you okay?" And that's all I said in a group chat or text message. And it took her a little while to respond, but then she came back and goes, "Well, if you're referring to my Rams, no." Like she already busted me, all right? And
Wow.
because it was really bad, right? The
Man.
Cowboys smashed the Rams.
Yeah. When you asked that, when you said, Holly, are you okay? The score was like 33-6.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it was 33-6.
It was
And I was,
bad.
Josh, I know what he's talking about. I knew it immediately.
And what happened 2 hours later, Holly? Because I talked smack.
Choked.
Yeah,
You
went to
suck.
Denver and laid the biggest egg.
Yeah, and I wanted so bad to say something, but I just was like, I don't have the heart to do it. And I was just
I was
so tired.
waiting. Every time I got a text message, I was like, it's going to be Holly.
Seriously thought about it a lot, but then I was like, no, what if they think I'm being actually mean? So like, or I'm bitter because you called me out. I just didn't have the heart to go there.
So I have a question on that note, Holly. Why do we still worry about that when it comes to our relationships?
I have no
I mean,
idea.
between the four of us, why are we always still worried about that? Because we spent like real life time together in some really fun atmospheres, and we spend hours on the internet with each other. But I'm the same way. There's some really good ribs that I want to just throw over there, and I'm like, oh no, because I don't want to think I'm being serious. And I think I'm just going to let it fly, Holly. From here on out, I'm just going to let it go.
You know what? I think we all need to.
Okay,
Because
deal.
I know all of you guys way better than that. Like, but there's still that little thing inside that it's like, what if they think I'm actually being mean?
And then Caleb shows up at your house and is knocking on your door.
But yes, I totally like, we need to just stop that because we are so
Agreed.
far beyond the point of like funny banter back and forth.
Yeah,
Like,
because one of these days we're going to get that banter on that text message, and I'm going to turn that into a reel, and I'm going to show people what our conversations are like.
that would be amazing.
Does that answer your question at all, Caleb?
Sure, that works.
All right.
Our first question for today: if all the fields had to be the same, would you get turf or grass?
Grass. Too many injuries on turf.
I agree. I was just going to say that. I
Yeah.
feel like far more injuries on turf.
Unless you're in Arizona and you can't get the field right for the freaking Super Bowl.
Right.
Holy cow, Holly.
pretty bad.
You need to get in somebody's butt down there and figure that out. We lost our kicker almost for the year in the first game of the season when we played the Cardinals that year. And he was never right. Now he hasn't missed a field goal this year because I think it's because he's healthy. Then we go to the Super Bowl and everybody's sliding around like they're on ice skates.
So bad.
Yeah. Get your act
Yeah.
together,
If
Holly.
you
It
did grass in every stadium, how would you grow it?
Huh?
In like say New York or whatever.
Say that again, Caleb. We didn't catch the first part.
If you did grass in every stadium, how would you maintain it? Because like in New York, they share a stadium, so they play a football game every week. You just have to re-turf it. You know, like put new sod down every.
Maybe.
Probably.
You know, they had a couple concerts in Arrowhead like on a Tuesday night, re-sodded it, played a game on them on Sunday. I saw the video of it. It's like literally laid down new sod. I don't know how that wasn't slippery, but nobody seemed to have any problems.
Well, you know, the
NFL's got.
Oh, go ahead, Keel.
I was gonna say the NFL's got a ton of money, so if they needed to, they could probably re-sod it every freaking game.
Oh, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, so
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
I wouldn't doubt that they didn't do it like either that night after the game or the day after. Honestly, I think that's what they do so that it
Really?
can like conform to each other, like
Yeah.
because like yeah. Anyway, but with the Super Bowl, I think it was they ordered the wrong style of sod. Like it was a certain kind because we have different kinds out here for based on the weather. We have summer and winter sod. And so I think, and it's like some African style grass. Like it's like something huge.
Grass
And
science is nuts.
yeah, it really is. And I think it was ordered the wrong type of grass, and that's why it was bad. Yeah.
It was bad.
What about you, Caleb?
I agree. I think grass is the best surface. I know in the World Cup they're going to do a hybrid of grass and turf, and that they're going to put them in the stadiums throughout the United States for the soccer players to play on.
Yeah, and they're not going to do it in L.A. because Stan Kroenke said no. So they're not using that new stadium. He's just not going to do whatever they wanted him to do, which is going to be a lot of revenue. So it must have been sort of bad. I don't know the story, but...
Very expensive. I don't know. All right, second question. To push or not to push? Should the push the push
Wow.
the push be illegal? Or the brotherly shove? Would that be illegal, or
Holly, what do
should
you
they be
think?
able to keep?
No, I don't think so.
So
If you can do it.
Yeah, so I will use the analogy that Jason Kelsey used on the New Heights podcast. He said, that's like saying Patrick Mahomes is too good at the 2-minute drill, so he has to sit on the bench when the Chiefs have the football with only 2 minutes left in the game. He's like, you would never do that. Why would you ban a play that we perfected? And actually, just this week, they fumbled it, and they didn't get the first down. And then they also ran a variation where they ran a sweep out of it. And my fantasy football running back scored a touchdown, so that's good.
We trying to say that's an illegal?
No,
They're
actually
going to talk about it over the off season. They may take it away.
Yeah, the
Wow.
NFL's rule committee is going to look into banning it
For what reason?
because I think they're going to use safety. You basically have 11 grown men standing right across from each other, and they're just trying to see who can get lower. And so
It's more like rugby.
Yeah, it's just
like a rugby play.
But you know what? There doesn't seem to be that many gruesome injuries in rugby. So if that's what they're going to go after, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Because the Eagles were dominant against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl with that. Every time they got to like 3rd and 1, we couldn't stop it. The only reason we stopped them is because they didn't have 3rd and 1. They'd have like 3rd and 4. They couldn't run that play. So,
all right, last question of the day. I did say it's at the midpoint of the season. Who do you think the MVP of the season will be by what you've seen so far?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a tough one.
yeah, so before last week, I would have probably said Mahomes, even though some of his statistics are a little bit down.
Yeah.
You take him away from that team, and we're probably, instead of being like before last week, 6-1, we're probably maybe 4-3, maybe 3-4 even, because we don't have a lot of weapons on offense. Our defense has played well. It's hard to go against.
Him winning last year, though.
I think sometimes it's harder to win it back-to-back years. I don't think that people like to vote for you. Tua is having an uncanny year, but I got to tell you,
He's another one.
no one else has ever had 1,000 yards receiving in the first 8 games. Ever. And that's where Tyreek Hill's at right now. I don't know if that's enough to make you the MVP of the entire league, but those would be my 3 front runners, I think.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
That's because I'm awesome, Holly.
Wow.
There goes the filter. I told you I was taking the filter away.
I feel like I don't know. I agree with that. It's just so hard because everybody plays like there's so many different ones in different positions. Like defensive, I would hands down Aaron Donald. I think that he is one of the best defensive players right now in the league. And then you have Kelsey. He's one of the best freaking tight ends in the league. So
If Taylor's at the game.
huh?
If Taylor's at the game.
There's a little difference.
We
There's a
are
little
not going to have this conversation.
There's a difference.
I
49ers who are really good, and McCaffrey. Is McCaffrey still hurt?
No, actually,
No, he
I
played last
shouldn't have
week.
left him off the list. That dude has had a monster year, but they've lost 3 straight.
True. That is true.
Yeah, I shouldn't have left him off the list. Here's the thing. I think that a lot of times when it comes to MVP, though, you ask anybody that gives you, that knows, that's in the NFL, that knows, they will all tell you that by far the hardest position to play in the NFL is quarterback. So I think you have to be setting records to be the MVP of the NFL and not be a quarterback. And so that's why you're not going to see a defensive player do it unless, say, they have a 28 sack year, or a receiver that has, say, 2,400 yards receiving and 20-some touchdowns. Or I just think it's going to be, in this game, the way it's played right now, I just think that's going to be really, really hard. So I think it's probably going to come down to Tua, Mahomes. Maybe if the Bills finish super, super strong, Josh Allen, and maybe Lamar.
I think Jalen Hurts might get it.
Oh,
The
Hurts.
Eagles keep playing the way they are.
Maybe, but the Eagles are they're not one-dimensional, and sometimes it takes being one-dimensional to win an MVP.
You get it.
Think about Mahomes' running game last year. It was non-existent. So he was able to throw for a ton of yards because they don't really run the ball. This year they're actually running the ball a little bit more, and his numbers are down, and people are thinking he's losing a step. So I don't know. I won't lose any sleep over it, though. I promise you that.
He's on track to rush for 500 yards this year.
Mahomes?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. He's been scrambling for his life on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win MVP, Caleb?
That's what I was thinking. I think Jalen Hurts would be the top runner for me. But I think Tua, if he doesn't get hurt, the Dolphins don't always seem to play well in the wintertime. So
yeah, well, and I think 3 of their last 5 games is against the Bills, the Bengals, and
where it's freezing.
There's some other big, maybe the Ravens. I don't remember, but 3 of their last 5 games are against tough teams. And so if it comes down to the last 2 or 3 games like it normally does for home field advantage, I don't think they're going to win it. I actually think the home field advantage in the AFC is going to come down to the Bills, Chiefs, and Jaguars. And I only say the Jaguars because their schedule sucks.
Yeah,
they don't play, and they're tied right now with everybody else. We do have the tiebreaker with them. We beat them head-to-head, so.
Gotcha.
Was that your last question, Caleb?
That was it.
Holly, do you have a question for us today?
Ew, and it is not football related.
Ooh.
Oh, thank you.
That's hurtful.
All right. Do fish have a thirst for water?
You're saying, do fish get thirsty?
Yeah. Do you think fish get thirsty, and what do? Just drink as they're swimming?
I would guess no. I would say that they absorb the water that they need, and
Their fins?
yeah, through their skin, through their fins,
Their scales, or whatever they're called. I don't know. I hate fish, so
There's
Gills.
probably a scientific answer to this.
I know. I need to look it up. Because I want to, I was like, I don't know. I would assume, well, no. I mean, if it goes through their gills, they're never thirsty because it's just an automatic thing that happens. If they need water to survive, in their system like we do.
Well, when they eat, they're getting water because whenever they, you ever seen a fish eat food or go swallow another fish? There's water in that. So they are getting water, whether they get rid of it a different way than we do.
If they need it or not.
I don't know. And Holly, honestly, I don't care.
Wow. Dang.
But before we go, I feel like I want to introduce somebody to the podcast.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's end it on a nice note.
Yes. So I did a poll about this.
Okay.
And I want to introduce you guys to Orbit.
Orbit.
Little Orbit.
Kitty.
He's mad because he was eating, and
He's probably mad because
How dare
Caleb's
you.
picture's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Caleb's not frozen. Or am I frozen?
No.
Now, he's a feisty little one, but he is doing great and thriving. I actually rescued him from my brother-in-law's work. He called me and said, "There's a kitten here," and he's not a cat person by any means, so it was either I pick him up or he calls the Humane Society, and he's so dang little, like, did not have the heart for it. We're predicting now. At first, we were thinking he was about a week and a half to 2 weeks old, but now we're thinking he's more along the lines here. He's more along the lines of 3 to 4 weeks, and he's eating on his own with canned food. I did go a week of waking up every 2 hours and bottle feeding him his
Wow.
You're
milk.
a way better person than we are.
With animals. It's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, I would do it with people too if they needed.
You just wouldn't enjoy it as much.
That's funny because my sister and I are a lot alike, but the exact opposite. So my sister is, when I say like she's even nicer than I am, and she's just this like phenomenal human being. I'm not kidding. But one of my nieces, her boyfriend and I were talking this past weekend because I had taken Orbit with me to go and meet the family, and he was like, how my sister was saying, "Oh, I don't know how she does it," and dogs, we were talking about how dogs' breath stinks and she can't stand all this stuff, and he looked and he goes, "How are you guys so different?"
Yeah.
And the truth is my sister likes people more than animals. And I like animals more than people. And so our kindness and our heart shines kind of opposite, because she is such this, like, just this great figure of a human being and humanity. And I mean, I kind of am, but nothing like I am towards the animals. Like, I love them. When I say that, like, if I have two people or a person and a dog in front of me, I think I might save the dog.
You got to take the person.
Well,
I mean,
I
it
hope
would
I'm
help.
not drowning when Fido's
Yeah.
drowning.
Yeah, I
Screwed.
usually save the dog first, and then the person. I wouldn't let the person go, but
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, even though you didn't pick my name for your cat, it is adorable, and I'm pretty sure it probably lucked into the happiest home in at least Arizona for pets. So
I
I bet it's going to be eating ribeye before too much longer.
Yeah, probably. He is wonderful. He gets to eat better than I do, so.
Well, guys, I have missed hanging out with you for the last 3 weeks, and it's been good to be back on. For those that were wondering, we plan on still doing this weekly. Just a lot of stuff going on. We'll probably get into it more detailed next week, as long as we don't have huge breaking news. But have a great weekend, guys, and God bless.